Every 23rd spring, for 23 days, it gets to eat.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Room Went Dark, the true crime and film, where we discuss film, TV and documentaries all based on real events. I'm your host Lorraine and I'm joined by my co-host Amalie. Hi Amalie.
Hi,
Welcome.
Lorraine. That was like relatively,
Professional.
normal for us. A normal beginning to
I
a
know.
not very normal film.
Oh God, yeah. And that film is the 2003 Jeepers Creepers. That was directed by Victor Salva, and it stars Justin Long as Darry, who, along with his sister Trish, played by Gina Phillips, take the scenic route home through an isolated countryside. When they're on their travels, they encounter this truck with some serious road rage, and he tends to tailgate them quite a lot. And then they see the guy in the truck throw a body, what looks like a body, down a pipe. They go to investigate and they realize that there's lots of horrible things down there. And then they soon have this big fight for survival as the monster tries to like hunt them down, get stuff. It's a very
Creepy.
yeah, it's I mean, I like this film. I think it's a good film, you
It's a
know.
good jump scare film as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I
it's
think.
quite fast paced as well at times. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They really do. I feel like almost from beginning to end, you are entertained, and you know, you kind of want to know who this guy is and what's going on, what got thrown down the chute, why is he chasing? Like, he seems to be after these two, but you feel
Mhm.
like it's a personal thing because he got pissed off with them, which you know, road rage is a real thing, isn't it? Like, this does happen. Um, so yeah, it is one of those things where you do sit there trying to figure out if you don't know anything about the film, like what is this? Why is this guy so adamant? Because at the start you don't see what he looks like
No,
the creeper.
exactly.
So you
Yeah.
just think it's some madman in a rusty truck.
Yeah, some sort of. I don't want to. I shouldn't say it, but like small town hick. Is there? It's like I don't know what that reference is to be fair, but
We
like.
have them here, don't worry.
It's a British
Busybodies.
reference, isn't it? Like it's probably very unfair to say that, but yeah, like probably in similar the way that so I guess some Americans will have a particular like persona about someone in the UK. Like
Their
ours is
teeth,
that
apparently.
our teeth
We all
because we
have bad
seem
teeth,
to
apparently.
have shit teeth. Um, which yeah, it's always fun. Like yeah, anyway, let's not go off topic. Um, but yeah, I found it the sort of the beginning of it. Um, just sort of like, that kind of sibling kind of banter that they've got going on. They're coming home, I think, from like spring break, and
Hmm.
you know, Justin Long, who plays Darry's picking up his sister, and they're driving through the middle
Yeah.
yeah, middle of
I think it's
nowhere.
Michigan or somewhere they are, isn't it? I
Yeah,
don't know. But yeah, but all the lovely countryside.
the lovely countryside, and then of course. Devandre, this big truck thing shows up and essentially sort of bullies them off the road and they kind of
Mm.
like end up in a field, don't they, for a bit? And then you kind of think, okay, well, that's dealt with. What a weirdo, da, da, da. And then of course they see as they drive past like an old shack, which I think is an old
Yeah.
church, they see him, yeah, disposing of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, personally for me, I would not want to go back and check out what was down that chute, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But there wouldn't have been a film if that had
Well,
happened.
exactly. And I suppose
Um,
it's that thing, isn't it, where she's saying, "Are you mad?" And he's like, "But what if it's someone? What if it was you down there? Wouldn't you want someone to come and save you?" Like he really, and I get it. I really do, but I think it's one of those things. I mean, I know I get the film and we say these things about film, what they should have done, but like as you said, there would have been no film. You know, they should have driven and got a phone call and, you know, and all this kind of stuff,
Dealt
made
with
a
it.
phone call to the police and got them to go back and check on it and stuff like that instead of going down themselves. But um that whole thing kind of I found the siblings really annoying this
I'm
time round.
so glad you said that.
Oh my God. I was just like, the way they were arguing, and, there's a bit which I'll go on later because it's in a different scene, but this particular scene. So the whole thing with this, because people are probably wondering, if you don't know, like, why is Jeepers Creepers kind of got a real true crime thing about it, because it makes no sense. This is obviously not a real thing, because what is it, every 23 years he comes back to feed for, like, is it
Yeah,
23 days or something?
it's another boogeyman story, isn't it? But
Yeah,
it does have
exactly.
a truth
Um,
element.
but it came from an actual murder of a woman called Marilyn DePue at the hands of her husband, Dennis DePue. So on Easter Sunday, the 15th of April, 1990, just about 12 miles outside Coldwater, Michigan, a couple were just out for a drive, Ray and Marie Thornton, and they as they drove, this van sped up, did the whole taking over. So yeah, coming across as very like road ragey, aggressive. And as they got down the road, they noticed the van had stopped at like this old, like I think it was an abandoned school. And they noticed the driver get out. He had like a bloody blanket, and they saw there was blood on the passenger door. And when the guy was out of sight, they did go and have a look, and this prompted them to call the police, which in turn led to a manhunt of Dennis DePue. And that was kind of the kind of thinking, because as we see at the beginning, that's basically how the scene almost acts out, with the siblings and watching someone do that. Now, Darry, like we said, he does go and look, and this is kind of the bit where you kind of get irritated by them, as he's like rats when he's like halfway down, he's a little bit into the chute,
Yeah.
and he's kicking and kicking and kicking, and you're kind of like, oh my God, would you just stop? And I was getting really irritated straight off, because yeah, she can't hold on to you why that's happening, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And
Yeah.
then he obviously goes um down the chute, and that's when we do find someone that's still able to kind of talk, you know?
Yes.
But it was a horrific scene, what, unfolded down there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and because you're not expecting, I mean, I wouldn't expect if I, were to see someone disposing of a wrapped up,
Hmm.
body shaped looking parcel. Parcel, you know what I mean? Covered
It
in
did look
blood.
like a parcel.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, but you wouldn't, my mind wouldn't automatically go to what if they're still alive? I think I would
Hmm.
just flat out assume like they've killed that person and they've
Yeah, and let the
disposed of the
authorities
body.
know.
So obviously, he gets down there. I mean, obviously, we don't want to say too much because if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. But yeah, that kind of scene down there where he sort of realizes that the body is not dead,
Hmm.
and then realizes other things that are also down there. Um, and to be honest, actually, the scariest point in the film was actually when he gets himself out of the basement and comes back to the car, because obviously, Trisha's in the car,
Hmm.
sat on the car, waiting for a car to come past that she can
Yeah.
flag down and call the police. And she sees a truck heading towards her, and immediately is like, shit, this is the truck
Yeah.
that's, rammed us off the road and is the guy that was getting rid of the body. So she gets in the car and she's desperately trying to get away. And then obviously the truck goes past and it's a completely different truck and it's not
Hmm.
that truck. And you just think, oh, just as you're going like, oh God, all right then. Justin Long obviously turns up with his like bang hand on the window, and you're just like, fuck.
Looking very
Looking really
terrified.
quite
Yeah.
traumatized.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a good scene when they're kind of like driving along, and he's obviously very traumatized. He's kind of quite disassociated and just sort of like completely checked out and just not having not having a great time. And like the bit for me is just like she's so unempathetic. I
But I
just
think
found her like
hers is,
annoying, like unempathetic. She's just a bit of a bitch, if I'm honest.
well,
Like,
I kind of saw it from both sides, because like obviously he'd seen an absolute shit show down there, and
yeah,
didn't know how to process it, and just needed a minute. which
Yeah.
I got and thought he was entitled to have. But I
Mm.
also could see why she was getting very frustrated and worried because she's also scared and wants to know what's going on. So I kind of got why she was like, you need to tell me, like, what is it? Say something type thing, because
Yeah.
she wants to know what the situation is. Is she in danger? Is he in danger? And stuff like that. So I think
Yeah,
from
she's quite
both point of
great.
views, they just dealt with the experience very differently because he wasn't there when she got terrified by the truck going by thinking it was the guy. She's on her own, she's wondering what's happened to her brother. Is he going to be killed down there and all that kind of stuff? And while
Yeah.
he's down there, she doesn't realize that he's seen things that a human should never see.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably a bit of both there, that they just both needed to do it their own way, but both their ways didn't suit each other.
Yeah, yeah. It was quite nice that they sort of showed them as kind of two very different people. Although they were
Yeah.
siblings, it was clear that, they were very different people. But I quite like the beginning as well, where sort of after the initial kind of beeping happens.
Mm,
Uh I think is after that bit, or like the first earlier camper van, I can't remember, but they sort of allude to the story of Kenny and Darla, who are the Wheaton Valley High class of 78,
mm.
couple that went missing on, I think, prom night or something.
Yeah.
And the story is kind of told as like, they were drunk and driving or something. But obviously there's rumors, there's these kind of rumors that well, actually and they talk about, her head was missing and da da da.
Mm.
Um, and the bit where he is in the car and he's just checked out, and I think he says then, he's like, you know, you know what he did, he sewed it back on, he sewed it right
Yeah.
back on. So just even that kind of phrase in itself is a bit chilling. There were some great phrases. Like my two favorite ones in this was the like when he's describing what's going on down there to the police, and he's like, "They're stuck up on the walls like the Sistine
Yeah.
Chapel" or something. That's a really good one. And then like the police, when they're following them in the car, like after they've gone to the diner, and they're kind of like escorting them. Um, and the police officer's just like, hold on, Central, the sky is falling. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do.
And the guy's
Um,
on top of the creepy man's on top of their police truck. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. No, no, it did have a lot of fun, kind of, I suppose, the comedy side of it. But it also had that kind of like, that kind of small town mentality where, because they're outsiders and it's very clear they're outsiders and, the way they all
Yeah.
get stared at. But the fact that kind of it's one of those stories that people have told. It's probably been used to kids going, oh, the creeper will get you because it doesn't affect everybody. It affects who he wants to go after, because
Yeah.
he had the sister at one point, but pushed her aside for Darry.
Mm.
So he does have certain people he goes after for what it is he wants.
Yeah.
And I suppose, you got to think like 23 years ago, it was the 80s. So it would have been 1980. So say this film was set in 2003,
Yeah.
1980, it would have been a very different kind of mentality even back then. So the people
Yeah.
back then that would have lived around this time, so like, saying how they were just drink driving or whatever, because
Yeah.
that's the story you tell. That's a very easy story to understand. What
True.
happened? They
Yeah.
drove and got, killed.
Yeah, they're
That
driving back
ends
from
of,
prom. They
you know.
had been drinking,
Yeah.
and
And you
yeah.
can, like, you could be decapitated while in a car accident. Like, do you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's a
Yeah,
very,
somehow. Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, a thing that can happen. So, it's easier to explain away. Whereas, how do you explain this ancient demon that will hunt people for body parts every, what is it, 23rd spring for 23 days? Like,
Yeah.
right, kids. Let's like personally, if I was from there, I'd go on holiday every 23 years just in case. Like, does he hunt you down in a different state? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
So
surely the locals must, like even the locals didn't seem to be aware of any of
No.
this kind of going on, which I guess is possible because, if he is just attacking them, random, people that are driving through, for example,
Hmm.
then no one knows that they're there, or,
Well, yeah. I
so
think
there's,
that's irrelevant to the creeper. He just goes for who he goes for. I think.
yeah, there's something
Whereas,
in people that he
um,
wants, isn't there? And
yeah. Whereas, like the community, yeah, they might not have. They just assume they've gone.
yeah.
You know.
How do you feel about the lady, the psychic lady that sort of tries to come and warn them?
Oh, the one that makes the phone call and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, she was right.
Yeah, well, yeah, fair.
She was right.
She
No, I
was.
thought but I think again that's the problem is like she was an older lady, so just the ramblings of the local crazy lady. That's how she would have been looked at. And
Yeah.
to be fair, the stuff she's saying to people that kind of they probably do think this is all a bit of what they tell you what happens every 23 years. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but she obviously knows because she was there. So
Mm.
um I think the fact the way the police kind of dealt with her, because one of the policemen was quite old, like he was a lot older. So I don't know, was he from there,
Yeah,
or we just don't talk about it, because there is that kind of mentality in places too. We don't talk about it, you know. We keep
sure.
that buried, and maybe they don't think it's going to happen again because if it's every 23 years, that's a big gap. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Between
Well,
sorry, my
yeah, it's enough to not think, hang on,
yeah,
there's someone out there going
mm,
around killing people all the time because
mm,
it's like a spate of people going missing every 20 odd years. And unless you are a police officer that has been in that particular area for a long period of time, if you did like, but even if you did like a 30-year career, you
yeah,
potentially are only
yeah.
gonna see it once or twice, like, come across it once or twice. So
And you might be hoping somebody had killed it, to actually
yeah, well, and you
manage
might
to
not put the
actually
two and two together
no.
either, right? It's just like, oh, okay, that's weird. Like a bunch of people going missing again. Like this happened like 20 years ago. Like
Mm,
what a coincidence. Like I don't
yeah.
think you necessarily think of it that way. I mean, we
Uh,
have we have it now. Like there's like young lads. I don't know like if you've kind of noticed this,
yeah.
like particularly around the kind of like, Bristol, Gloucester, like
It's a lot of
South East
missing. Yeah.
Wales. Yeah, there's like loads of like young
Boys.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Young men. Yeah.
young men.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
missing and turning up dead, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is this like a new drug on the market and things are going,
Or
and
somebody
everyone's
out
just
there.
kind of like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. But it's because of that young boy, I think he's like 22, 23. Jack Sullivan, his name is.
Yeah, still
And
a thing.
I get the impression from the way the parents are talking, like nobody seems to be taking it seriously. And it's this weird thing, isn't it? Because I was listening to a podcast today, and it was about a girl a woman had been murdered, and they were trying to sort it out, and the police were kind of like. One of them actually said to her, "You look, you need to learn to move on from this." And I think that's
Jeez.
what people fail to realize is like, and that's the same with Jack Sullivan's parents. They're not going to stop.
They're never
That's
going to
their
stop.
son, and
Yeah,
it's worse.
exactly.
What's worse is when you don't know where they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
and
there's no closure. There's no,
no, he might be still alive.
ending to it.
He
Like,
could be still alive,
yeah. Well, yeah.
and that's the thing. And you hear about stories all the time where somebody is found and they are alive. So,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing when it comes to stuff like this is like when people are so frustrated because you see Darian so frustrated that want someone to just listen to them.
Yeah.
And
This is
and
it.
the
Yeah.
lady, the crazy lady who turns out not to be so crazy because she's actually the one who knows the most, is like, will you just listen? And the police are just like, oh God, here we
That's
go
all.
again. Like, let's
Breathe the
take your
leader.
statement, like, and it's just so frustrating. But then
Yeah.
when because we see that scene, don't we, when the cop, there's a female and male cop following them, and that's one of the scenes that drives me absolutely. I was getting so angry to the point where I was like, I'm gonna have to turn this off for a few minutes. I didn't because I put on my big girl pants. And but they were in the car because he had been told, like, if you hear Jeepers Creepers, you're gonna something bad could happen. And
Sure.
he hears it, but he blares it up, and they're kind of swerving and they're loud and they're shouting. I'm like, just turn the fucking song down. Like, have
Yeah.
the argument all you want, but why'd you have to do it? And then in the background, your man, Creeper, is taking heads off and killing people and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And it's just,
sure is.
but those two cops seemed a bit like kind of like, all right, we're take the crazy over the top kids, and they kind of, well, you should have listened. But
Yeah,
I
they
don't
just
think
seem
he
to
killed
kind
them
of
for
deal with
parts,
it.
did he?
Okay, so
Did
again.
he kill them for? He didn't kill the woman for parts. I think he killed the bloke for parts because he started eating his
Yeah,
head or snog. Was he kiss? He looked like he was French kissing the head.
like taking his tongue
I
out.
had to, I had to look away.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, I think I probably did the same. But yeah, and that's the bit that made me chuckle with the whole on Central. The sky is falling when he sort of lands on top
Yeah,
of the car before he starts attacking them. But yeah, I can see why that annoyed the hell out of you because they're just sort of in the car. They've got Jeepers Creepers like blaring out through the
yeah,
radio, and you're just like, will you just turn it down? And maybe
and
you
they're
noticed that
shouting
something was
and
going on behind you, like
yeah.
but also maybe to a degree better to not know at that at that point what's going on.
Well,
But
exactly. But then the head comes bouncing on the screen and then
oh
they, on
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing. But that's just one example of
yeah.
the many examples of how the police aren't taking anything seriously until it's too late. And I get that it does sound like a crazy story, but you
Mm.
know, it's just
I,
very frustrating.
I do quite like that it sort of turns into a boogeyman kind of story because they could have easily not done that and just kept it as like, a bit like, Texas Chainsaw or something like that, where it's just like a creepy ass human
Yeah.
who, is going around like being a cannibal. Um,
Going
and
around being
there's
a
so,
cannibal.
well,
Like going around being a cannibal. He's so
being a
casual.
cannibal, like, but that's what it is, isn't
We're not
it?
here to judge.
We're not here to judge. Nothing wrong with being cannibal. Um, but I guess with this, it's like, oh, okay, like this thing has frigging wings, and like,
Yeah, flies and
it starts to, at that point, you're like, okay, this is actually quite sinister, and it's got all the like the great qualities of like a horror movie in the sense of like they're in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. They've got the isolation.
yeah.
They've got like the diner full of the locals, and you're like, oh God, are we gonna, how's this gonna go down? Because, you know, it's all those feelings that we do have when it's sort of like we're trying to work out whether we're safe or are we in danger. When you walk into a place in the middle of nowhere and all the locals turn to look at you and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
you don't know what's going to happen. And I suppose as well, like for maybe the other people, when they're hearing all these stories, they dismiss it because they're trying to rationalize it because it is scary,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And
I
and
mean,
are
yeah.
these two the bad ones? These two out of towners,
Well, you
are
would
they
just
actually the danger?
exactly. I mean, you can imagine that, couldn't you? If you were sort of down at your local cafe having a, breakfast or whatever, and two people come in like quite manic, they're like tops shredded, they're a mess, they
Mm,
smell like they look like they've been going through some sort of war zone, and they're talking about like a guy who's like mutilating people and like hanging them up in his lair. Like you'd be like, fucking, what have they been taking? You literally would be like, this guy's got serious mental health problems. Like maybe
yeah.
but even then, like it's like, maybe we need to like get these people some like psychiatric help or something. Like even
Yeah,
in the
there's
film,
like
there's not
even
even
if
that going on, is there?
yeah, they're
They're
kind
just
of just
like,
looking at
meh.
them and eventually the waitress goes, "Okay." Like
Yeah,
like where's the urgency to help these people? Like they're
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
distressed, but like everyone's just like, you know, it just baffles me because like I'd like to think I'd get up and go, what do you mean? Are you okay? Because as well, you've got to kind of think to yourself, they're coming in shouting, we need help and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually in your presence. Is there danger on the way? Like I've got my kid with me that my mother, my
sure.
grandmother, and my friends are with me. Like, do I need to protect? Are they going to come and get us too? Like, because you don't at that
Yeah.
stage know what it is. So it could be someone chasing them with a big gun, or it's America. They all bloody have them. Like, do you know what I mean? So
Well,
you
I
just
guess I guess for the diner as well, like and the people in it, they're also trying to work out whether, like you said, like is this a dangerous
mm,
situation? Like they're just trying to make sense of it, and they're just very slow to process it, I think. But it also
very slow.
adds it, yeah, it is very slow. I guess it also adds to the horror movie element in the sense of with the isolation and the,
Mm.
of like being in that situation where your integrity is being questioned or you're
Mm.
not being listened to. There's nothing like, particularly if you think you're in danger and
Yeah.
people are just like weirdly behaving, just kind of nonchalantly, like it does freak you out. Like you're like, what the hell? Like, why are you not taking this more seriously? You know? And I
Yeah.
think that adds to the scary element of it because you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to deal with this on my own. Like no one's gonna help me here. Like this guy's gonna kill us if these people don't like wake up and start listening and helping us.
Yeah,
So
because at that stage you think they're just after them to kill both of them, or
yeah, yeah,
attack, or is he just trying to scare them? Like, because obviously until you know what it is, but
yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
and they
it's
don't know, right? Because at that
no.
point, they don't know what this thing looks like, I don't think, from what I remember. And it's like, all they know is that, holy hell, like he's gonna know that we've been down in that basement. Like he's gonna have known that we've been there. He
Mm.
knows that we have. Like he's come to like
Sniff us out.
sniff us out. Well, yeah, essentially it kind of looks like a warning sign, doesn't it? When
Mm.
when the lady in the diner is like, oh, he was rummaging through your like stuff in your car.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say though, who the hell stitches their name into their underpants like as an adult? As a child, maybe, but
Yeah.
as an adult, I was like,
I thought
no.
that was weird. He knows my name
He knows my name now as he like
from
throws
my
his
underpants.
underpants back in the car. And I was like, why have you got your name stitched into your underpants, you 5 year
Yeah.
old? Maybe it's a thing at university. I don't know, like if you're sharing dorms or something. But yeah, I just
Yeah.
thought it was a bit of an odd one. But I didn't know if that was an add-in to, because there is a few bits about that, isn't there? And I think that's why Trish is kind of a bit of a bitch and a bit unempathetic because I think she's supposed to be the stronger one of the two.
Yeah.
And she even says to the old creepers, like take me, you want me, I'm the stronger one. That's what you
Mm.
want. And I think there are some things in the film where they're sort of trying
She's
to make
definitely the
it look like
protector.
she's the more dominant sort
Yeah.
of
Oh,
sibling.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't tell I couldn't tell if they were twins or whether like she was older or he was older or
I don't know, actually. I
because
didn't
there
know.
was something, I can't remember what it was, something was said and it made it sound like they were twins, but I didn't think that they were. Um,
I'll check.
but yeah, it was an interesting one. But yeah, I don't know. It's sort of like yeah, so maybe the underpants
No,
thing.
no, they're not twins.
They're just siblings,
She's
aren't they,
the
I
older
think.
sister, which,
Okay,
yeah,
so that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
They kind of made it feel like she was kind of like the older one. Um, and that he's sort of a little bit kind of
Mm.
not clumsy, but just sort of a bit, you know.
Still needs looking after.
Yeah, he needs
Yeah.
protection.
What I
Yeah.
did like in it, and I like it when these things kind of become their characters in themselves, is the truck.
Mm,
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
kind of
I'm
like,
with you.
I don't know if you've seen Steven Spielberg's Duel from 1971, which is basically this
Okay.
lad just being chased everywhere by this like really menacing truck that's a bit similar,
Okay.
and I just, because it was just, I think what it is, the way they come kind of like, because it's quite fast, isn't it? And the way it kind of comes pounding down at you like an angry
Yeah.
face,
Yeah.
and it's got all that rust, and you half expect
Exactly.
the radiator thing at the front, if it had one, whatever it was, to start going up and down as if it was gonna, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the
no,
grill's kind of set up to be like a scary mouth, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, no, I liked that, and that's, I suppose that's when that bit you said when it was a different truck um coming that way, and we
Yeah.
thought it was that one. And at that time as well, when she was sat on the car and the truck was appearing, I'm like, how can you not hear it? Like, how can you not hear this thing coming up behind you? She's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and not look up and down the road. Another annoying moment.
She's in
But
a world of her own. Yeah.
I know, but they do eventually get to the police station where they think they're going to be safe. And it gets quite
Yeah.
gross there because obviously the creeper goes after, I think, one of the convicts in the
Yeah.
thing. And for me, because you don't see much of it, but it's the sound.
It's the sounds. Yeah. There's some
Like
really
this,
great
it
sound.
reminds me of
Yeah.
like a rabid dog or something. It was just, It was absolutely like vile, and
Yeah.
yeah,
For
yeah,
me,
it
it's
was.
the moment where where old Creepers licks Trisha's face, and I'm just like, ugh. Oh, God.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
ugh.
like,
No, thank you.
and when he has both of them,
Yeah, and he's like
like,
sniffing each of them. He's just like, oh. Yeah,
yeah, no, but that scene was great. I think in the police station, it was very chaotic, and panicked, and it was just
yeah,
all over the shop, and nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how to take it down.
yeah,
And it was just.
yeah,
And I think that's the thing, isn't it, with the unknown of something when you just don't,
yeah.
and not believing what you're seeing. Like, how do you compute that? Like, do you know what I mean? When you're just like, how
Yeah,
can you take
the
something
fear.
down when you just don't know what it is? But you're the police, so you're supposed to be protecting, those two kids because you're the
Yeah,
police.
sure.
But
But obviously,
protecting from what?
you're just human. Even if you are a police officer, if to be a officer in that situation, you
Yeah.
know, like you said, you're meant to be there to serve and protect and, be
But how
big,
can
brave and
you when you
strong.
don't know what
But when
you're?
you don't know what it is, you don't know how to take it down, you don't know if you can take it down. And also you're
Yeah.
looking at this thing going, what the fuck is that? Like, um, yeah, just terrified. I think you would just be in this state of like f freeze, I think, where you're
Oh
just sort of
God, yeah.
like, I don't know how to handle this, because it's all very, very unknown, isn't it? You just, yeah.
And I suppose Dari and Trish probably think we're fine now. We're
Well,
here.
yeah, I mean, at least they've, in
Yeah.
their mind, they've got other people
Yeah.
to back them up as even just as a witness or like
Mm.
just that they feel that they're not going through it alone.
Yeah.
Two against one is, and it's not like he is just a man, like he's this like weird flying, terrifying thing. Um, and so yeah, I imagine there is a moment where they're like, okay, well, we've got all the police here and they're going to be able to protect us because that's what, we assume police are going to do. But um, yeah, just makes you think, doesn't it? If we ever sort of like had to deal with like, aliens arriving or anything like that, like how we would actually deal with it.
Yeah.
So I've got off topic, but
No, no, but it's true. It's like, you like, we when it's I suppose when you watch even something like Halloween,
Mm,
or Elm Street, how do we take these people down? Because Ghostface, you can shoot him in the head and he's going to be gone. You might get a new Ghostface, but it's a different person. Whereas
yeah,
with like Michael and Freddie, like they're like super strong. Like, do you know what I mean? You just can't seem
yeah.
to. Obviously, Freddie's not a real person, but um, I think when you don't know how to kill it because you've never had to destroy something. Like, if you want to kill a human, there's various ways that you can guarantee it happens. I'm not going to
Yeah.
give any tips, but um
That's
they're
not something you know how to
I
do.
keep my tips to myself. But yeah, but when you watch these, because you keep on seeing, like, sometimes in these horror films they're like, shoot it in the head, shoot it here, do this,
You don't know if
cut
that's
its
going to
head off,
work.
you know um and it never seems to happen. And yeah, like with
Yeah.
aliens, and I mean, I know because I was this psychic. You'll love this. I saw a post yesterday. This psychic has come out, and I think it was the English fans are going to be abducted by aliens at the World Cup. You know,
Interesting. Is that like
you know.
a
But
conspiracy
some
theory that's
fuckers are
out
going to be like, "Oh my god, I'm not going now."
Oh my
It's
God,
just
that's
this
nuts.
weird fantasy unknown world that we live in. And I think, that's one thing
Yeah.
this film does do well, is how to destroy something that you have no idea about. Because even if
Well,
the
no,
people did
because
know it 23 years ago,
yeah,
why didn't they destroy it then? Because they didn't know.
they didn't know
You know what
about
I
it.
mean?
I
How
get a
to.
sense that they don't know that this thing exists and it's just been kind of
I think if
wandering
anyone
around.
knows, it's, I mean, if you talk to, probably, like, because if you notice, there wasn't anyone really, apart from the lady with all the cats, right?
Yeah.
But they made her out like she was insane, basically.
And she
But
also lived a town over. So
yeah, and she was crazy cat lady who,
yeah.
nobody wants to listen to. But, there was no like 80, 90-year old talking about, oh, I remember, like, type thing.
This happened 20 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So, like, the people now, that they probably, if it's 23 years ago, some of them would only been in their 20s or children,
Yeah,
and
sure.
they might have just heard it as a story, like like if you don't go to bed, the creeper's gonna get you,
The
like,
creeper's gonna get you.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So that
yeah.
that kind of thing, you
I think
think it's just,
there's also something to say about like, so much of our ability to be able to feel safe with like another person, for example,
mm,
it's quite a lot of it is like facial expression and body language, right?
yeah,
So when you're faced with something that kind of sort of slightly looks human, but is clearly not human,
yeah,
and also like has a completely different like face, because like even like the
yeah,
teeth and like everything is different,
yeah,
right? And you're just like, how do I think there's something really terrifying about, I mean, even if you think about like it in real life where if you like were to meet someone in a street with a balaclava on,
yeah,
immediately you're going to be like, well, I can't actually see their face. Like
yeah, so you tense up.
you tense up, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the association is there with like, well, they're wearing a balaclava, they're
Well,
probably
because in
not doing
movies that
something
meant they
great.
were robbing
But
somewhere,
yeah,
or you know what I
they're
mean?
probably bad people.
Yeah.
But you know what? But I think some of it is because you can't, and there are sort of like certain fear. I've got friends and family that like one of like a family member, like one of their fears is like the idea of like someone crawling towards them. Like if you were to
Mm.
literally get down on your hands and knees and like creepily crawl towards them, they would be like, nope, 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 can't deal
Well,
with
because
that.
who does that? It's unusual.
Well, but
I'd be
that's what
like,
I
what are you
mean. It's sort of
doing?
that kind of
Yeah.
unusual movement, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
we're not used to what we know, and the brain knows what it knows, which
Mm.
is, a symmetrical face, you know, normal
Walking
kind
or
of
running
right, yeah,
or skipping.
and yeah, I guess this is why, quite often more than not, a lot of horror films do tend to use people with very specific kind of facial differences or like all of that
Mm.
kind of stuff. I mean, there's a whole I could talk about that for ages, um but yeah, with old creepers that I just think he is scary because he's almost like alien-like as well,
But
he's kind
also
of
built
like
like a human.
but built like a human with
Yeah.
wings. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a cricket, isn't he? Like
Yeah.
a
Like from a distance, it looks like just some bloke.
From the distance, I'm trying to think, because he's in like a cloak, isn't he? Or
He's got like
it feels like it's a cloak.
it looks like some kind of big kind of coat thing,
Yeah.
you know?
And I'm trying to think, but in like a hat, like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think I don't know, I can't think what it is, but I swear there's like a film, like a horror film that sort of feels a bit like that, where it's like, um yeah, like if you were to meet him on a dark night in the
Mm.
fog somewhere, in a long trench coat and a wide brimmed hat, and just be like, "Well, who's this guy?" But yeah, no, he's terrifying. He is a scary looking thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But do you like this film though? It's a good film.
I actually do.
Have
Yeah,
you watched any of the others?
I have, but a long time ago, and I honestly could not tell you. I think I remember, like, as quite a lot of films are when they have sequels, they're then rarely as good as the original or the first. Um, and I think from what I remember, that's how I felt about because there's what is there, three?
Oh, this is 2001.
Yeah,
I said 2003. It's the second one that's 2003.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you said 2001 at the beginning.
Did I?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because there's a few, isn't there? Or is there
yeah,
just
there's
two?
four.
Oh, there's four. Okay,
Jeepers
I knew there was
Creepers, two,
three.
three, and Reborn. I haven't got through the third one. The second one I don't mind. I
Yeah.
haven't watched the fourth one. Um, but
Yeah, because there's like
yeah,
Creepers Returns, isn't it, as well?
Reborn, and then
Which I don't know if whether that still has. I think that's got like a completely different cast though, hasn't it? The Return one. And then I think is it the same cast in the second?
no, there's a bunch of like I think Jonathan Breck, who plays the creeper,
Yeah,
I think he is in them all. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that.
yeah.
But
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah,
the ending of the first one would show, with Justin Long.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's screaming. So he gets taken by the
Oh,
creeper, he
I
flies
know.
out that window, and then you go to
Oh.
this like abandoned place, and that screaming
Yeah,
is
with the
just
Jeepers Creepers song just like playing in the
that's
background.
horrific. And then you go in and he's just like, is he like sewing or something? And you
Yeah,
just see, because we've seen that
his
Darry's
face
got a
has been.
tattoo. And
Yes,
then,
yeah.
but the eye, so actually it wasn't just Jonathan Breck that played the creeper. Justin Long also played the creeper, apparently,
Oh,
because he
really?
was the eye at the end of it. So,
He
you know,
was
when
the
you
eyes
see
at
the
the
eye,
end.
that was said to
Okay.
have been Justin Long.
That makes sense
So,
because he took his eyes, didn't he? So they
yeah,
would have had to use Justin to, yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. But
But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, how did you feel about like what's your kind of out of 10 or 5? What are we giving it star wise?
I would give this a good solid 3.5, 4,
I think I'm
you know,
a yeah.
because
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I do think like this time I've seen this film quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I like if you know if someone came to stay this weekend after just watching it and they say, "Can we?" I really want to watch it. I'd be like, "Yeah, fine."
Like
Even
you'd be
after I
happy to
only watched it
rewatch it
this week,
again. Yeah.
you know. So this would be the type of film that I will watch again. You know that
Yeah.
way.
It's got enough flow to it that you wouldn't,
Mm,
it's continuous. There's not, you don't find yourself sitting and watching this film thinking, oh God, this is boring, or like,
yeah,
there's no it does have a good flow to it, I will say. Yeah.
yeah. No, no, definitely, definitely. So yeah, I would watch it again. And it, I mean, I know it's not massively in the way of based on a true story, but there is that element of it.
God,
Where the idea at the
man.
beginning, all that kind of stuff come from with Marilyn DePue.
Well, and I
Um,
think, some of these big films, like you wouldn't necessarily know that they're based on, like,
no,
I've watched, I've seen Jeepers Creepers many times over the years, and it isn't till recently that, I knew that it was based, or at least inspired by true crime.
yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
he's like Dennis DePue is a very scary looking man. Like
right,
you
yeah,
hear about, you see, there's always that thing, isn't there? Like especially with serial killers in particular, is you know like Ted Bundy, he looks so freaking normal. We expect them to look a certain way,
yeah,
but this guy, if I walked past Ted Bundy in the street, I'd just be like, I wouldn't take any notice, or if I did, I wouldn't be scared, which is, the irony of it all. But
this is it.
because we do look at certain people and think because they do look normal, you know.
Yeah,
But this guy, he would weird me out. I
he's
thought he
gonna
was
look
very scary looking, you know.
poor chap.
And I know they do pictures to kind of make them look that way, but there's a picture of him and his wife, like in a photograph, which was obviously taken when they were married. So it's not even like it was a mug shot, which I know they try and make them look a certain way in mug shots sometimes.
They're definitely
But
an interesting couple, aren't they, to sort of
yeah,
see a
but
picture of them.
he's a bit, I don't know about you, mate. And I'd be right, unfortunately.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think, we do make assumptions based on like how someone looks. And I think for some serial killers, that's why
That's
it
where they
is
get
so
away with it.
terrifying for someone like Bundy, for example, because everyone's like, oh my God, he's like yeah, people thought he was handsome, you know?
Yeah, but you get that with a lot, or
Just don't
you might
know.
think
Like,
someone's a bit weird, but like there's certain ones that make me feel when I'm watching them, like Arthur Shawcross. I really didn't like looking at him. He was disgusting, and I
mm,
probably would have kept my distance from him in real life because there was just something about. I know it sounds really weird, but about him that was just very off-putting.
yeah,
His whole the way he talked and everything.
yeah.
Um,
But then
whereas,
I found that about like Ramirez, and he had like
oh God, yeah,
women come into his trial. Like, it's like
I
it's
know,
so
I
strange,
know.
isn't it? That the way some people, I guess have preferences and stuff. But yeah, I,
Yeah,
I would not have approached that man
no,
at all. Like if I
no,
saw him in the
no.
street.
So
Um,
yeah, it's just yeah, he's just yeah. Some people you do get, but you get you probably heard, especially from people that knew serial killers and stuff like that. You probably would talk to someone and they'd be like, "Yeah, I kind of knew them," and it just always give me, they always had a feeling, but they didn't know what it was, that type of way. Because you're not going to go
yeah,
straight to, well, that person's obviously a serial killer. Like, do you know what I mean? So you can meet someone. Like, had you actually met Bundy in person, you might have been like, oh, I sang off about that guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you just get a feeling that you just don't want to be around them, no matter what they look like.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And I
Um,
guess with DePue, it wasn't just it wasn't just, but it was a classic case of, I think they were ex-husband and wife, weren't they? When
well,
at the
she
time
wanted
that
a
he,
divorce,
right,
and
okay.
she didn't really like he did have visitation, but he wasn't really, the kids weren't really that bothered.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
probably because, maybe he
and
wasn't a particularly nice guy. I mean, I
yeah,
think he comes around, doesn't he? And I think the way it goes down is that he turns up at
yeah.
the
So
house, he beats her up, and
she
then
changed
tells the
the
children that he's going to take her to hospital, and then does
yeah,
it
yeah. So
eventually.
she changed the locks,
Yeah,
and she came home once. Apparently, he was there, and he was becoming unstable and talking about murder apparently and suicide to a work colleague. He apparently spoke about that,
jeez.
and yeah, then he said he was taking his mum to a hospital, but then obviously the
Yeah.
daughter was like, that sounds a bit dodge, and called the police and stuff. But yeah, then he unfortunately he killed her. But
Yeah, and then,
um,
but then eventually, when sort of caught by police, he also killed himself, didn't he? So he didn't even do the time,
well,
from what
that's
I'm aware.
the coward's way, isn't it? So
The coward's way.
yeah,
Well, yeah, it's I
not
guess,
suicide. I'm not saying suicide
no,
is the
no, no,
coward's
no,
way.
no.
I mean,
But
getting out of trouble because you've murdered your wife.
a lot of killers, they do that though, don't they? It's
Mm.
like they don't want to have to deal with the consequences. It's almost like a selfishness
I think
in
that Castro guy, the one that
yeah,
kept those girls for 10 years, he topped himself, didn't he?
yeah.
Um,
And I
yeah.
think sometimes it is that kind of, you're holding that level of
Mm.
I guess, like, I don't know, like it's like caging a wild animal, isn't it? The
Yeah.
idea of like putting someone like that in literally behind bars in a cage. They're just like, I won't cope. Like, I just
Yeah.
won't,
Some people won't
I'm not
know.
going to be able to survive this. So I'm just going to take myself out now.
Funny enough, others will, because apparently Kemper has been like, I just want to stay here. He's thriving apparently in
It's like
prison,
loving prison. He's like,
loving life. Yeah.
don't ever
But
let
yeah,
me out because I'll try and get back in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any way
Oh,
possible. But yeah,
Kemper.
anyway, yeah, so that's Jeepers Creepers. We don't know what one we're doing next, which is we're probably going to discuss that after we've done
Yeah.
this. But yeah, if you've got any thoughts on the film, let us know. Did the siblings annoy the shit out of you? You can email us at theroomwentdark@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the socials as The Room Went Dark on Facebook, Instagram, and the talk that is tick. So we will chat to you
Peace.
later. Bye.
Bye.